Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am the Spell Singer, and this is my final review for this epic series of game books known as Sorcery. And this review is going to give you a quick look at its title with its book number. We'll go through the covers for this series, and then I'll read the blurb, talk about the plot with the locations, and I'll go through the game mechanics, take a look at that adventure sheet. I'll run the artwork through this video, talk about my own likes, my own dislikes, any fun facts that I can find, any errors. We'll give it a summary and a score and finish with a shout out. So, yeah, this final book, this is book 4 of the Sorcery series. This is The Crown of Kings. And of course, it was written by Steve Jackson and illustrated by none other than John Blanche. So we've got that consistency throughout these 4 books. And this one came out in 1985 and rounded off the series in style. So the covers for this last book. So we've got the original cover, you can see here. This was designed and illustrated by John Blanche himself. But when the book was republished by Wizard, the cover was reworked by Mel Grant. And it was later redone again by Robert M. Bull when the series was republished by Scholastic. So, 1985, we've got this cover here, the classic original wraparound cover, where you've got the number displayed in the top right triangle there. And also in 1985, we had the red banner as well. So these both came out at the same time. And then it wasn't until 1987 that we had the dragon banner come out, which is this one here. And then in 2003, when Wizard took over, we've got this cover here. And then the final one in 2022, when Scholastic gave us this one, which of course is the one I've got, which I will actually, let's read the blurb. That would make sense, wouldn't it? So again, quite short and sweet. So all we've got for this one, for the blurb, is: are you brave enough to enter the Mampang Fortress and face the terrors within? Hidden inside the keep is the Crown of Kings, but goblins, jaguar and netherworld demons are just some of the creatures lurking on the path to the evil archmage, determined to destroy your chance of success. May your stamina never fail. So yeah, that's the blurb for Crown of Kings. But let's talk about the plot, and then we'll look at the location for this book. So Sorcery 4, Crown of Kings, is widely acclaimed as one of the best, most challenging and satisfying finales in the whole of the Fighting Fantasy series of books. It features 800 entries, so that's double the standard length of your typical Fighting Fantasy book. It offers a complex, highly interactive, and often quite deadly infiltration of that fortress of Mampang. So The Crown of Kings is the 4th and the final book, of course, in Steve Jackson's Sorcery series. This is a series of interconnected game books, essentially, that concludes with this epic quest through the fantasy land of Kakabad. And in this final part, you have to infiltrate this Mampang Fortress and reclaim that stolen Crown of Kings from the evil archmage, whose possession of this powerful artifact threatens to unite all those dark forces of the region against the Femfrey Alliance, and essentially plunge the land into sort of war and chaos. Not good things. And the adventure is full of monsters, as you would imagine, traps and deceptions. Nothing in Kakabad is quite what it seems. And the Mampang Fortress presents kind of unknown terrors that you've got to overcome to reach this crown. And within, there are all these goblins and jaguars and those netherworld demons, like mentioned in that blurb, along the path to this archmage. So he's well protected. Now, if the Seven Serpents dispatched by the archmage, in that previous book, if they were not all defeated, some will have succeeded in warning him of your approach, causing the archmage, to anticipate the arrival of you, and therefore bolster his defenses accordingly. So it kind of pays to have read that 3rd book and stopped as many of those serpents as possible, right? Now, in terms of location, as you can see from this map here, we're still in Titan, and here you can see Alancia, the Old World, and Kull. And we are in the continent of the Old World, so if we zoom in, you can see Kakabad here. And if we go in even closer from Blanche's map, here you can see where we began in Analand, our travels over the Shaman Tanti Hills to Kare, and now over the backlands to the Forest Sonata and across Lake Iaqlala, and that was book 3. And now we are heading up to Zaman, to Mampang Fortress, right at the top there. So that's where we are with this book. Now, the game mechanics and adventure sheet for Crown of Kings. So, as before, we've got the introductory rules. They kind of offer you that choice of a simple game where there's no magic, just a warrior. So yeah, no magic used, just lots of fights in that kind of standard fighting fantasy style of combat. Or you've got the advanced game, which relies on magic, where you play that wizard. But just face it, everybody did. So if you chose that wizard, you still have a series of magic spells that can be used, each costing between 1 and 4 stamina points. So from this video here, as normal when casting, when doing your spell casting, opportunity arises. The text typically presents a list of 3-letter codes without any kind of description. That forces you to select the correct one based on prior memorization from the separate Sorcery spellbook appendix. Now, choosing an incorrect code results in spell failure, which may lead to wasted opportunities or adverse outcomes, while the correct code activates the intended magic. So it pays to kind of learn those spells, certainly before you go into this final book. You may also call upon Libra again, so the goddess of justice, once in each adventure. And in calling on her, you may ask for that one of those 3 kind of offers. One of revitalization, which kind of restores that stamina, skill, and luck scores back up to their initial levels. You've got escape, which allows you to kind of get out of any dodgy situation you might have found yourself in. And you've got removal of curses or diseases, which can take place at really any time. It gets rid of those afflictions for you. There are some really cool games to play in this book as well. You've got this kind of simplistic version of darts where you've got this board here, as you can see from this image, kind of like a checkerboard almost. And you've got this kind of like where the white numbers increase your score and the black numbers decrease it. And then winning the game is achieved by the first person to hit 10 or minus 10. Playing the game was kind of simple, and keeping a tight, as simple as keeping a tight grip on your pencil anyway, and stabbing your book with your pencil. Let me read it to you, that would make more sense. So this is reference 481, which goes with this image. So it says here, the game commences. To find out whether or not you win the game, you will have to play it. The illustration facing this page shows the 10-up board. Place your left elbow firmly on a table. Raise your hand as if you were about to start arm wrestling. Grasp your pen or pencil in your left hand like a dagger, as if you're about to stab someone. Place the book on the table in front of your arm, keeping a tight grip on your pencil and keeping your elbow firmly in place. Stab the book with your pencil. The stabbing movement must be a quick strike. You're not allowed to do it slowly or make sure to make sure you hit what you want. Yeah, cheaters. Whenever your pencil lands on the illustration, it counts as the throw of a dart. If the throw misses the board, then there is no score. If the throw lands on the board, score the number of points. If it lands on a black number, increasing the running score by that number of points. If it lands on a white number, deduct the number of points from the running total. You must throw for each player in turn, your first, then each of the 3 guards. Whoever makes the throw which brings the running total exactly to 10 or minus 10 wins the game, and then you get 8 gold coins. So it's a smart little kind of game within a game book. And there's a few like that, but I thought I'd mention this one because it's quite a lot of fun to play. Now, the adventure sheet for this book, no change. And as I said before, it's going to be pretty busy. by now, because if you think about all those spell ingredients and items that you've picked up along the way, so it's going to be pretty full. But of course, you've got your skill, your stamina, and your luck. As always, you've got your gold and your treasure, your provisions, what's left of them, and of course your packed equipment and item inventory list, and then your bonuses, penalties, and any curses that you've picked up, and then your clues and notes at the bottom. So no change to this adventure sheet that I can think of, and it works perfectly well as always. Okay, the artwork for this final book. So as always, like I said, the interior illustrations by John Blanche, but this time we've got 41 full-page illustrations. Now, because the book is so large, usually you would have 30 for a 400 reference book, but we've got 41 for this 800 reference book, and 11 minor, sort of smaller illustrations kind of scattered throughout the text to break it up a bit. And as before, the black and white map was also by John Blanche, the one you saw earlier for those locations. He was, John Blanche, he must be in his 80s at the time of this recording. I'm sure he's getting on a bit now. So he was born as a sort of working class family in England. At art college, he was told that he had this kind of romantic spirit, but that the fantasy art would never earn him a living. Shows what they know. Blanche, he kind of gained fame in the fantasy gaming world, and his work appeared as the full-colour cover of White Dwarf in 1978. And from there, he kind of continued to apply his distinctive punk fantasy style onto the covers of many games, books, and record sleeves, and noticeably the Talisman board game series, and of course, the Fighting Fantasy as well. Now, much of John's early work was for Games Workshop, founded by those creators, Jackson and Livingston, and John has retained close links with Games Workshop throughout his career, and he was made the art director of Games Workshop as well, so he's had quite the career. His style is kind of characterised by those sharp, odd, off-kilter kind of angular characteristics, and he's got those hideous demonic creatures that he always draws, locked together with that kind of internal struggle between good and evil. He is definitely the man for this series of books, and I love the way they've kept him on board from start to finish. He also won several Games Day awards for his individual figures, his figurines and dioramas, making him one of the world's finest fantasy miniature painters around. He now regularly edits and the miniature column of White Dwarf magazine, so he's still on board, he's still involved in that whole world. So good for you, Mr. Blanche. Now, I've got a favourite picture, which is this one here. This is kind of like the final view, right at the end. So after you've finished your epic struggle and you've reached reference 800, you get this really nice descriptive prose of what you're witnessing, after it's all over. I'll read it to you and then you'll sort of see what I'm on about. It says here, you step over to the window and blow your silver whistle. A shrill, warbling sound comes from the whistle and you wait for it to summon its master. A short while later, nothing has happened and you begin to get anxious. But sure enough, your call has been heard. A fluttering of wings can be heard at the windows, followed by a familiar face. The head of Peewit, Crow, appears. Do you have the crown? He asks. You nod and tell him of the struggle, patting your backpack to indicate that the crown is safe. Then let us go, he cries. For both our missions are now done. Without the crown, Mampang is powerless. Give me your hand, friend. The birdman takes you and you fly away from the fortress across the peaks of High Zaman. And then, of course, you've got this image here with Analan in the distance, your home, so you're almost back. You have succeeded in your mission. The crown of kings will be returned to Analand. The Archmage is dead. Perhaps sometime soon, another warlord will seize power in Mampang, and your country will once again be threatened. But for the time being, you hold your head high in pride. Yours has been the most difficult task ever completed by a native of your country. You will have firmly written yourself into the history books of Analand, and your adventure will become legend, passed on through generations of your people. Your journey is over. You have earned a rest. And you kind of have that sense of completion with this book. It kind of wraps everything up nicely, and with this final image, you do feel like, certainly as a kid, when you finish it, I imagine you get that sense of achievement. As an adult, maybe you still do, but I never had these books as a kid, which is criminal. So that's my favourite picture. My likes and dislikes for Crown of Kings. I love how this book kind of provides that gritty, immersive experience with those high-stake conclusions of this 4-book saga, often compared to like Mordor, like that kind of Lord of the Rings quest. The 48 spell system is used to its full potential, offering sort of lots of varied solutions to problems, though it does require careful management of stamina and, of course, finding all those spell ingredients. With 800 paragraphs, this book offers significant depth, lots of replayability, despite being somewhat linear. It's a great blend of challenging encounters with that kind of unique, sometimes quite dark sense of humour as well, typical Jackson. And again, an example of how items from previous books are required later on. If you get captured in this book by Captain Cartum during, your infiltration into Mampang Fortress, you'll be asked for visual clues. So, if you look at this picture here, if you look really carefully, you can see a portrait on the wall, a picture of this lady on the wall. It matches the woman in a locket that you can find in the Shamantanti Hills, which looks like this picture here. So it kind of harks back to that game design. Jackson obviously planted the seeds in Shamantanti Hills for this item, this locket that I had been carrying the whole adventure, wondering when it was going to come into play. And of course, eventually it does, right at the end. So if you give it to this Captain Cartum, he's so grateful to get his memento of his sweetheart that he kind of sends you on your way with a key. So yeah, really smart. Just it really pays off, doesn't it, sometimes? And when you finally get to the end and you get that chance to use the item you've been carrying in your pocket the whole time, it just makes it all more rewarding, for me anyway. However, the book is notoriously tough and deadly, with lots of paths leading to instant deaths or severe penalties. And while the book works standalone, it is best experienced after completing the previous Sorcery books, certainly that 3rd book, the Seven Serpents, to fully understand the story, and have all those necessary items. The linear and unforgiving nature can make it a bit repetitive on future playthroughs, but not too bad. There are some portrayals, particularly of the Black Elves, which are a bit outdated, a bit problematic now, but, it was the 80s. However, all in all, less dislikes than likes. I love this book. I think it's brilliant. Let's have a look at some fun facts. Yeah, so some fun facts. This book was the longest of all the game books. So yeah, 800 references. That's unprecedented at that time. If you had to renounce Libra, so Libra was your god, of course, throughout the whole series, but if you had to renounce her at any stage in the Seven Serpents, that 3rd book, then you've lost this 4th book right from the start. You can't do it, as far as I know. Correct me wrong if I'm wrong in the comments, but pretty sure you can't complete this book if you renounced Libra. So don't do it. Steve Jackson, he's obviously the co-creator of Fighting Fantasy, and a pivotal figure in that kind of fantasy gaming. But he drew inspiration a lot at the time for his Sorcery series from his trekking ollibobs in Nepal, in the Nepal mountains, which shaped the places and names in these early books. So it's amazing, isn't it? I think Livingston did something similar with his holidays as well when he was writing his fantasy books. But yeah, travel broadens the mind, right? Okay, errors for this book. Yeah, reference 152 gives you the option of using a yellow fruit, sort of a yellow fruit skin, and you can use this against the sleepless ram. But there's no such object in the entire series of books that I ever found anyway. I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist, so yeah. But also, reference 455 It lists some of the reptiles that you will be phobic to, like including this giant frog, which is included in this list. But those are amphibians, aren't they? Not reptiles. And then you've got things like reference 545, the she satyrs, I think is how you pronounce them. When you arrive at the she satyr village, you get 2 of these guards, these she satyr sentries. They step forward, and the escort kind of waves them away. And then 2 sentences later, you're told that the guards let you pass. So yeah, it's just like a continuity thing, so nothing to get in a big twist about. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, the Black Elves on reference 144, they're described as literally as black as night, but the illustration gives them kind of like a light skin tone. And finally, reference 568, it asks you whether to trust the sight masters and wear the tunic that they offer. However, in the illustration, it shows them with their swords already drawn and the tunic thrown on the ground. So yeah, just a continuity thing, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, let's do a review, not a review, I've done a review, a summary and a score for this 4th book. So The Crown of Kings exhibits that kind of strong continuity with the earlier entries in this Sorcery series. And as you carry over from previous books, your possessions, your learned spells, and overall progress all come with you. I love that kind of character progression. The outcomes from the 3rd book, the Seven Serpents, it significantly impacts this particular episode. So yeah, like we said, successfully defeating those 7 serpents leaves the Archmage deprived of his serpentine servants, reducing his kind of preparedness. The book kind of distinguishes itself through its kind of central focus on infiltrating that tower, assaulting the Mampang Fortress. And it offers you multiple entry paths via kind of different gates as well, so it's quite open world. They all branch into distinct sequences of challenges involving like lots of intricate traps, formidable guardians, and lots of high-stake navigation. So it's quite open at points in the book, but linear in others. So it's a good mismatch, really. The ascent through the Zaman Peaks stands out as an especially punishing segment of this book, renowned for its lethal terrain, deadly ambushes, and all that atmospheric tension that heightens the epic scale of this final confrontation. The Crown of Kings is kind of like an amazing ending to this series of books. It takes all the strongest elements from those previous entries, mixes them all up, and gives you possibly the greatest game book that Steve Jackson ever wrote. And there are some minor problems with the book. It's quite long and linear in places, which can make for tough replays. But it's not really a problem as such. This is made up for all that incredible variety and all the different outcomes for each encounter. The spell system is used brilliantly to full effect, gives you lots of options. Pretty much every encounter that you have within the Fortress of Mampang can lead to death if you take the wrong choice or cast the wrong spell. So you're always on your toes in this particular adventure. It gives the book a kind of dangerous air, if you like, the feel that at any point you could be killed or discovered and thrown into the Archmage's dungeon. There are lots of hints to be found in the earlier books that come to fruition in this book. Crown of Kings rewards those who have gone through those previous 4 books, which is a nice little trait. And even a character with poor stats can still get through without too much trouble. An extra layer of difficulty is added on with the various keys and all those different passwords that you can get, and other forms of information that are required to make the final book a little bit more easier. Certainly help you. It certainly helps to play those previous books. Stephen's been using these techniques, since House of Hell, so a while ago, and they're very evident throughout the whole of this Sorcery series. The encounters in Crown of Kings may be deadly, but almost all of them are interesting. Mampang is full of lots of intriguing characters, memorable monsters, and interesting encounters. My only complaint here is with the Archmage himself. It's a bit of an anticlimax after a 4-book build-up. I was hoping for a spell duel like the one at the end of Citadel of Chaos. We all remember that one. But instead it was kind of like a slightly underwhelming battle. Is it fair to say, with that netherworld demon? However, the ending is excellent. It's tip-top, due in large to the sort of revelation of the true nature of that Z spell. So if you got that far, you'll know what I'm on about, which was, of course, a mystery up until right to the end. So yeah, that's the Crown of Kings. I think it's one of, Jackson's, certainly his best, one of his best, or at least up there with his best. And it's always good feeling when the end of the series kind of outdoes its predecessors. I feel like this book does that on every level. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I don't often give these books 9, but I think this time it's deserved. It's an excellent series. And if you've not read it, where have you been? Now, of course, you've read it. It's so good. But if you haven't read it for a while, then yeah, just dust off your old copy and give that another bash. Right, shout out. I've given him a shout out before, but it's good to do another one. It's certainly relevant because a shout out to Edra Tales at this moment. Ken Boiter is actually in the middle of reading through these books. So at the time of this review, which is March of 26, he's working his way through the Seven Serpents. He does this once a week. So check out his link, which is in the description, and join in because, as viewers, we just help him make decisions and just have a laugh, really. But it's really good, and he reads these books really well. You know, he's an author himself, so he knows what he's doing. He knows his game books. And in the chat, if you look carefully, you'll see Ace Gamebooks contributing, which of course is Jonathan Green. So that's quite nice to have a little chat with Mr. Green as well. So yeah, check him out. Right, I hope you liked that review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Definitely put a comment in on your thoughts on this final book or even this series of books. It's always great to hear what your thoughts are. I'll certainly reply to all of you. Share the channel out if you think someone might like it. That's the end of the Sorcery series. So I will catch you in the next review, whatever it may be.